Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The morning air was crisp, carrying with it a hint of new beginnings, though for me, it only underscored the fractures in my world. Another day loomed ahead, heavy with the shadows of my faltering marriage. The night before had been another step in the unraveling of what Linda and I had built over the past 12 years. This time, she had brought up her plans to go on a date. Yes, she used that word, with another man. Not as a fleeting suggestion, but with a deliberateness that made it sting even more. It felt as though the foundation of our life together had been rewritten without my consent. Her intentions were crystal clear. This wasn't about us, it was entirely about her. Standing in the doorway with arms crossed, I listened as she laid out her reasoning with the casualness of someone justifying an extravagant purchase. She insisted she deserved this, a chance to feel alive again, to recapture the excitement of forbidden territory. I didn't argue. What point was there? Her mind had been made long before she started talking. "You're okay with this, aren't you, Ron?" she asked, her voice a strange mix of hope and hesitation. Her eyes locked onto mine, searching for approval. I let the silence stretch, finally replying in an even tone. "Linda, you've already decided. I can't stop you. You're your own person." She blinked, momentarily thrown by my calmness. After a beat, I added, "Of course I mind. But I know you. When you've made up your mind, nothing changes it. What choice do I have?" Her shoulders eased, almost as if my words had validated her decision. "I love you, Ron," she said softly, a faint smile forming. "I'll make it up to you. You'll see." My jaw tightened. "So you know it's wrong then?" I asked quietly. Her brow furrowed. "What do you mean by that? Do you think our parents would be okay with this? What you're doing?" My voice was steady, cutting through the growing tension. Linda didn't answer. Her gaze fell, and the silence between us grew heavier. I leaned in closer, lowering my voice. "You know it's wrong, Linda. You just don't want to admit it." She fumbled for a response, her tone defensive. "But you said I could do it, Ron." I shook my head firmly. "No, I didn't. I said I can't stop you. That's not the same as agreeing to it." The weight of my words settled between us, undeniable. Her posture shifted, her arms crossing in defiance. "I thought you'd understand." "I do understand," I said, my tone cutting but calm. "I understand you're searching for something new, something thrilling. What I don't understand is why it has to come at the cost of us. Why you'd choose someone else over me." Her silence was deafening. Finally, I asked, "By the way, what's his name?" "It doesn't matter," she muttered, barely audible. I let out a bitter laugh. "It matters, Linda. Whoever he is, he's going to change everything." After a pause, I added, "Just know this. I don't want you to go, but this date, it won't come without consequences." "What kind of consequences?" she asked hesitantly. "You're not just beautiful, Linda, you're smart. You've always been smart, and I've told you that 1,000 times," I said, my eyes narrowing. "But intelligence means being responsible for what happens because of your choices." Her face hardened, defensive. "You're bluffing. You love me. You've always given me what I wanted." I stayed composed, my voice steady. "I can't stop you from making a mistake, Linda, but I can warn you. This time, you're on your own." With that, I grabbed my keys and left the room before she could respond. By Thursday evening, I made a decision. As Linda prepared for her night out, I quietly packed my things and moved into the guest room. She caught me midway, disbelief dripping from her voice. "What are you doing, Ron?" "Moving out of our bedroom," I replied coolly, not looking up. Her tone fluctuated between anger and mockery. "Are you seriously throwing a tantrum?" I ignored her, focusing on hanging my clothes in the guest room closet. My silence spoke louder than any argument. The next morning, I woke early, determined to reclaim a shred of control. I treated myself to a visit to a high-end salon, where I got a fresh haircut and beard trim, even indulging in a manicure. At a nearby clothing store, I picked out a sharp navy blazer, a crisp white shirt, and tailored trousers. I wasn't going to look like the man who passively waited for life to happen anymore. Later, I cleaned my car until it gleamed, a reflection of the person I intended to become, someone ready to face the fallout of Linda's choices. When I returned home, she was descending the stairs in a tight black dress I'd never seen before, a bold statement of her intentions. She paused, clearly waiting for a reaction. I gave her none, my expression unreadable. "Damn it, Ron," she said, frustration mingled with desperation. "You look good. Where are you going?" "Out," I replied flatly. "Out where?" she pressed. "Just out. Did you expect me to sit here while you meet him?" I shook my head slowly, my gaze sharp. "I thought you were smarter than this." Her face flushed, but she held her composure. "Fine, I'm going. Don't let your ego ruin this." I allowed myself a faint smile, opening the garage door. "Don't worry about me, Linda. Just remember, there are always consequences." Without another word, she left, her car disappearing down the road. I grabbed my own keys. I wasn't going to sit idle, watching life pass me by. Over the past few months, I'd grown close to Ava, a kind and understanding colleague. That evening, we met at a cozy wine bar, its soft lighting and smooth jazz creating the perfect atmosphere for the kind of effortless conversation we'd always shared. The instant Ava greeted me, her smile carried a warmth that felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. Her sparkling eyes didn't just look at me, they seemed to truly see me. We chose a simple meal, accompanied by a bottle of wine, and before long the conversation flowed effortlessly, as though we were old friends reconnecting. Ava was different from anyone I'd ever known. She laughed at my quirks in a way Linda never had. We traded stories, moved with the quiet rhythm of the music in the background, and let our gazes linger in moments that felt anything but ordinary. This wasn't about erasing Linda, it was about finding pieces of myself again. When I dropped Ava off at her place around 10, she leaned in close, her lips brushing softly against my cheek, leaving behind a warmth I hadn't felt in ages. "Go get her, Ron," she said playfully, her smile equal parts gentle and teasing. When I returned home, Linda was already there, still dressed from her night out. Her wide eyes revealed a mix of surprise and suspicion. "Where were you?" she demanded, her tone sharp. I shrugged off my blazer and hung it on a chair. "That's none of your business," I said flatly, her face twisted with frustration. "What do you mean, none of my business? You left without a word." I let out a dry chuckle. "And did you tell me where you were going tonight, Linda?" She froze for a moment before anger surged to the surface. Should I ask if she used protection, or should I just stop caring altogether? "Because I'll never touch you again. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me what you did or who you were with." Her voice cracked under the weight of disbelief as her mouth trembled. "Who is she?" "Her name's Ava," I replied, keeping my voice calm. "And if you think marriage is about dressing up for someone else, I figured I'd see how it felt to do the same. The only difference is, I'm upfront enough to tell you her name." Her expression crumbled as tears filled her eyes. "You're just trying to hurt me, aren't you? You want me to feel jealous?" Her voice wavered, trembling. I shrugged again, my tone detached. "I'm just giving you the honesty you've given me." The tears broke free, leaving dark streaks down her cheeks. "Ron, I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking into sobs. "I never thought it would come to this." I shook my head, the weight of disappointment sinking into my chest. "I warned you, Linda. Every choice has consequences." Her sobs grew louder, her body trembling with the force of her emotions. For a fleeting moment, regret flickered within me, but it was drowned out by the realization that the trust between us was irreparably shattered. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "What happens now?" I exhaled deeply, letting the silence stretch before answering. "Now you figure out what you want, and I'll do the same. Tomorrow morning I'll call a lawyer. We'll divide everything and move on." Her muffled cries followed me as I climbed the stairs to the guest room. There was nothing left to say. The night had drawn a hard line in the sand, and crossing back was no longer an option. The next morning, sunlight seeped through the guest room curtains, pulling me from restless sleep. The events of the previous night felt fresh, vivid, and inescapable. I knew I had to move forward, though anger still churned beneath the surface, fueling my resolve. I reached for my phone and called Jason, an old college buddy and trusted attorney. Scheduling an urgent meeting with him felt like the first tangible step toward reclaiming control. After a quick shower, I dressed in jeans and a crisp shirt, ready to face what lay ahead. Downstairs, Linda sat at the kitchen table, her face pale and exhausted from a sleepless night. Her swollen, red-rimmed eyes met mine as I entered. "Ron," she said hesitantly, her voice shaky, "can we talk?" I smirked faintly, though there was no humor in it. "Go ahead, Linda. What do you want to say?" She bit her lip nervously. I'm sorry about last night. I shouldn't have gone out. It was stupid, and I never meant to hurt you." "Didn't mean to hurt me?" I echoed coldly. "Linda, you made a deliberate choice. You decided that whatever you were chasing mattered more than us." Her shoulders slumped, and fresh tears filled her eyes. "I thought I wanted something different," she said, her voice cracking. "But I was wrong. Please, Ron, give me another chance." I shook my head, my tone unwavering. "Another chance? Do you really think I'm that naive?" Without waiting for her response, I turned and walked out the door. There was no point in prolonging the conversation. At Jason's office, I laid out everything, the betrayal, the fallout, and my decision to move on. He listened carefully before nodding. "If you're certain we can start the process today, we'll file the necessary paperwork, and if she challenges it, we'll escalate." "Do it," I said firmly. Each signature felt like another piece of closure being carved into stone. When I left the office, an unexpected sense of liberation mingled with lingering anger. This wasn't just about ending a marriage, it was about making sure Linda understood the full weight of her actions. One more call was needed, to Jake, a longtime friend with a talent for delivering messages that couldn't be ignored. Over coffee at a diner on the outskirts of town, I explained the situation, outlining the target. Kevin South, the man Linda had chosen over our vows. Jake smirked, leaning back in his chair. "I'll handle it," he said simply. "No one crosses you, Ron. Not without consequences." By the time I got back home, the afternoon sunlight was fading. Linda was still at the kitchen table, her phone resting idly in her hand. When she looked up at me, a flicker of hope crossed her face. "Ron," she said softly, "where have you been?" "We need to talk," she said, her voice trembling with apprehension. I glanced at her briefly, then shook my head with finality. "No, Linda," I replied, my tone resolute. "I've said everything I needed to. My lawyer will handle the rest." Her complexion turned pale as she stood unsteadily, gripping the table for support. "You're serious? You're really divorcing me?" Her voice quivered, caught between disbelief and desperation. I gave her a measured, icy smile. "Yes," I said firmly, "and there's more." Her face twisted in confusion, her eyes searching mine for answers. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her voice sharp with unease. Ignoring her question, I stepped past her, snatching my keys from the counter. "You'll find out soon enough," I said coolly, leaving no room for debate. That night, I parked a few blocks away from Kevin South's apartment complex. I needed to see it with my own eyes. It didn't take long. Jake and his crew were efficient. Kevin's car sat in the parking lot, or what remained of it. Shattered glass littered the ground, the tires were slashed, and the paint was scraped away in jagged streaks. But the interior was the true masterpiece. Every surface was coated with an unholy mix of glue, baby powder, and other grotesque materials. It was clear that Kevin wouldn't be driving anywhere for a long time. From my vantage point, I watched as he emerged from the building. His confident stride faltered when he saw the wreckage. He froze, his jaw slack, his face a mask of disbelief. I saw his expression shift from shock to anger as he fumbled for his phone, no doubt to call the police. But I wasn't concerned. Jake's team was meticulous, leaving no evidence to trace back to me. As Kevin seethed, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. This was only the beginning. The following morning, I woke early to pack the last of my belongings. Linda was still asleep, her face blotchy and swollen from hours of crying. I didn't bother waking her. Instead, I left the signed divorce papers on the kitchen counter with a simple note: "You wanted freedom. Here it is." I loaded my suitcase into the car and drove to Ava's apartment. She had kindly offered me a spare room while I sorted everything out, a gesture I genuinely appreciated. But this wasn't about moving forward just yet. It was about making sure Linda grasped the weight of her decisions. By the time she woke up, my lawyer's formal notice would already be in her inbox. Later that morning, my phone buzzed incessantly with her calls. I let everyone go to voicemail. I was done listening to her pleas. By midday, Eva texted me, "Linda's here. Should I let her in?" My response was blunt. No. Linda needed to face the consequences of her actions. Manipulation wasn't going to save her this time. Choices have repercussions, and she had made hers. Over the next week, the divorce process moved swiftly. Linda tried to push back, bombarding me with calls, texts, and even showing up at my office. I had anticipated her desperation. My lawyer, unflinching and precise, ensured that she wouldn't get more than she deserved. The house lease was set to expire soon, forcing her to find a new place to live. I felt no obligation to help. One day, I spotted her near my car in the office parking lot. She stood there, her face streaked with tears, clutching her coat tightly against the wind. I walked past her without a glance. "Ron!" she called out, her voice cracking. "I was wrong. I see that now. Please, I'm begging you." I stopped and turned to face her. Her eyes, swollen and red, met mine with a pleading intensity. "Linda," I said evenly, "this is over. You made your choices and I'm making mine. There's no going back." Her knees buckled, and she sank to the ground, sobbing. I felt no urge to comfort her. The memories of betrayal and deceit burned brightly, dousing any lingering regret. Without another word, I walked away, leaving her behind. Eva and I continued our casual relationship for a time, a mutual solace amidst the chaos. But it became clear that we were heading in different directions, and we parted on amicable terms. Eventually, I found a small townhouse near my workplace, a fresh start that symbolized my independence. Months later, I met Sophie at the gym. She was a revelation, strong, confident, and loyal in ways I hadn't experienced in years. As we grew closer, I felt a deep, genuine happiness return to my life. Our connection was built on honesty, free from the lies and betrayals of my past. Linda, I heard, moved out of state not long after. She disappeared from my life entirely. Kevin didn't fare much better. The vandalized car was only the start. Rumors about his personal life swirled at work, eventually forcing his resignation. He left town as well, seeking a fresh start far from his tarnished reputation. As for me, I learned that love isn't only about what you give, it's also about knowing when to let go. Healing came through reclaiming my life and ensuring those who wronged me faced the weight of their choices. In the end, I rediscovered myself, and that was the greatest victory of all. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel. Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Aaron gripped the steering wheel tightly, his chest swelling with pride as a broad smile crept across his face. He was on his way home, basking in the joy of an achievement he had worked tirelessly to attain. Today marked a pivotal moment in his career. After years of dedication and perseverance, he had finally been rewarded with a promotion. The announcement had caught him off guard, a surprising high note to end what had otherwise been an exhausting week. Leaving work earlier than usual, he was eager to share the wonderful news. This promotion was more than just a new title. It symbolized fresh opportunities, particularly for Peggy, who had been yearning for something more. Aaron envisioned being able to support her aspirations, whether it meant re-entering the workforce or finally pursuing the training she had been considering. Peggy had spent over a year searching for a job that truly resonated with her interests, but nothing had aligned so far. To Aaron, this promotion represented a chance for a brighter future, not just for him, but for both of them. He pictured the perfect evening, revealing his raise over dinner and maybe even celebrating at Peggy's favorite Italian spot, where the staff always greeted them warmly. The thought of seeing Peggy's astonished and joyful reaction made him chuckle as he turned onto their street. As his modest house came into view, a wave of anticipation surged through him. He pulled into the driveway and parked quickly, barely able to contain his excitement. As he stepped inside, however, an odd silence greeted him, broken only by the faint sound of a distant voice. Puzzled, Aaron paused. Was Peggy on the phone? "Peggy?" he called out, his voice echoing slightly in the quiet house. No response. Curious, he walked down the hallway and stopped abruptly when he saw her. Peggy was sitting on the couch, her robe loosely draped around her shoulders, a laptop perched on her knees. She hadn't noticed him at first, her attention absorbed by the screen as she laughed softly. When she finally glanced up and saw Aaron standing there, her expression shifted quickly. Surprise flashed across her face, followed by something harder to place. Was it discomfort? "Peggy? Who are you talking to?" Aaron asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. Peggy straightened up quickly, seeming momentarily flustered. "Oh, just an old friend," she said lightly, her fingers moving hastily to close whatever was on her screen. But despite her quick movements, Aaron caught a fragment of a voice, warm and distinctly male, saying, "See you soon, baby." Aaron's confusion deepened, his mind racing. "Who was that?" he pressed, his tone edged with disbelief. Peggy flushed, waving a dismissive hand. "It's nothing," she insisted. "He's just someone I used to know. Don't make a big deal out of it." Her casual tone struck Aaron as forced, and his instincts told him something was off. "If he's just a friend, why did you look so startled when I walked in?" he asked, his gaze narrowing as he studied her. Peggy let out a nervous laugh, pulling her robe more tightly around herself. "Aaron, you're overreacting. It's harmless. Sometimes I just need a little excitement, you know? Like in the movies, a bit of passion and drama. It's not serious." "Excitement?" Aaron repeated, his voice taut with suppressed anger. "You think this is exciting?" The joy he had felt just minutes earlier vanished, replaced by a rising tension. He had come home hoping for warmth and celebration, only to find Peggy laughing with a stranger and brushing it off as a joke. Peggy sighed dramatically, tossing her hair back and crossing her arms. "You don't get it, Aaron," she said, her tone laced with exasperation. "I'm stuck here all day while you're out working. It's lonely. I need more than just this routine. I want to feel alive again, not like some housewife waiting for you to throw me scraps of attention." Aaron's fists clenched at her words, anger and disbelief coursing through him. "I've been working myself to the bone to give us a good life," he countered, his voice firm. "You have the freedom to figure out your career or stay home without worrying about money because I'm taking care of everything. And now you're telling me that's not enough?" Peggy rolled her eyes, letting out a dry laugh. "You're taking this way too seriously. Honestly, it's nothing. I thought you'd see the humor in it." Aaron's gaze hardened. "Humor," he said, his voice cold and steady. "Do you think this is funny? Tell me the truth. Is he your lover?" The question hung in the air, heavy and unspoken for a moment that stretched too long. Peggy exhaled sharply, shaking her head. "Don't be ridiculous, Aaron. He's just a friend." "Then explain this," Aaron demanded, gesturing toward her robe, which seemed to suggest more than casual comfort. "Why are you sitting there, dressed like that, talking to him?" Peggy shifted uncomfortably under his piercing stare before offering a sly smile. "It's a vibe thing, Aaron," she said with a shrug. "I like it when you get jealous. It makes me feel alive." Aaron's expression darkened as he tried to process her response. "Are you serious? Is this some kind of game to you? Have you been watching too many shows or reading too many romance novels about love triangles?" "What's wrong with wanting a little fantasy?" Peggy shot back, defiance creeping into her voice. Aaron stared at her, his thoughts swirling as the weight of her words pressed down on him. The perfect evening he had envisioned lay in tatters, replaced by a confrontation that left him questioning everything he thought he knew about his marriage. She locked eyes with him, her expression surprisingly bold. I just need something more, Aaron. Something thrilling. That spark that keeps things alive, that helps people grow closer. Her voice was tinged with a wistful yearning. Aaron's lips pressed into a thin line, his hands finding their place on his hips as he fixed her with a hard stare. And you think flirting with another man is the answer? Is that what you believe our marriage needs? His voice was sharp, his disbelief unmistakable. Peggy let out an exasperated sigh, waving her hand dismissively. You're overthinking this, Aaron. You've been running yourself into the ground with work, and now you're reading too much into everything. This isn't about some silly affair. He let out a cold, bitter chuckle. Overthinking? No, Peggy, I'm furious. You expect me to buy this innocent act when it's obvious something's going on. How can you stand there and deny it? What have you been doing while I've been working to keep this family afloat? Rolling her eyes in frustration, she replied, You're being ridiculous. Ruining our relationship over some baseless suspicion? That's absurd. Aaron's patience was wearing thin. His voice turned steely. Prove it. Let me see your messages, your calls. Show me that this friend of yours is just a friend. I need to know what's been happening while I've been putting everything into us. Her flippant demeanor disappeared in an instant, replaced by a sharp defensiveness. Holding her laptop close, she snapped, No, Aaron. Everyone deserves a private space, and I won't let you invade mine. A deep sense of unease settled in Aaron's chest. The room felt charged with tension. Without another word, he turned and headed to the bedroom, his steps deliberate. He opened drawers and began tossing clothes into a bag with no regard for order. Peggy followed him, her tone shifting between alarm and confusion. What are you doing? He didn't stop or look at her, focusing instead on folding a shirt. You wanted excitement, right? That spark, that tension? Fine, Peggy. I'll give it to you. Her unease morphed into dread. What are you talking about? He finally turned to face her, his expression unnervingly calm. It means you can live on your own for a while and think about what you really want. Whatever game you're playing, it has no place in this marriage. Her confidence faltered, her face falling. She let out a dramatic sigh. Aaron, you're blowing this out of proportion. It was just a harmless attempt to add some fun, something to break the monotony. He shook his head, firm and resolute. The only thing I take seriously is this relationship, Peggy. Apparently, I'm the only one who does. I need time to think because I refuse to be the fool left in the dark while my wife breaks the monotony. As his words landed, Peggy's expression crumbled, and tears began streaming down her face. Her sobs were loud and theatrical. Aaron, please, don't do this. I was just trying to spice things up. He zipped his bag with a finality that matched his tone. If this is your idea of excitement, then maybe you'll appreciate some quiet to go with it. Figure out what you actually want because this version of excitement isn't for me. He brushed past her without looking back, the door closing heavily behind him, its thud marking the end of their argument. Outside, Aaron took a moment to breathe in the cool evening air. The steady rhythm of his footsteps as he walked away felt like a defining moment, a break from what had been. Pulling out his phone, he called someone he trusted. Tom, I need a place to stay for a while. His friend's response was immediate. Of course. We've got a spare room. Come by any time. Thanks, Aaron replied, his voice heavy. Just for a few days, until I figure things out. Driving off, the weight of the evening settled fully on his shoulders. Peggy's insistence that her actions were innocent didn't sit right. If she had nothing to hide, why was she so guarded? The thought gnawed at him. Over the following days, Aaron ignored her increasingly desperate messages and calls. Eventually, he blocked her number, focusing on regaining clarity. He rented a small room and began reaching out to a lawyer. With no children or shared assets, the legalities were simple, but the emotional toll was immense. He resolved to rebuild, determined not to accept anything less than the respect he deserved. If she's after excitement and drama, he thought grimly, she's welcome to it, without me. For the first time in days, a faint sense of peace flickered within him. As the months passed, the divorce proceedings steadily moved forward. Peggy made repeated attempts to contact Aaron, sending heartfelt messages, calling from unfamiliar numbers, and even penning letters imploring him to talk. Despite her efforts, Aaron kept his distance, his resolve fortified by the heavy burden of her unexpected betrayal. When the day of the divorce hearing arrived, Aaron anticipated a simple and uneventful process. To his surprise, Peggy was there, sitting anxiously with her gaze darting toward him as he walked into the courtroom. During the hearing, she seized a moment to address him directly. Her voice trembled and tears streamed down her face as she looked into his eyes. "Aaron, please, is there any chance we can fix this?" she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I know I made mistakes, but can't we at least try?" Aaron's expression remained steady, his eyes unwavering. "Peggy, we've been over this," he replied, his tone firm. "I can't." He took a deep breath before continuing. "I can't live with someone I don't trust. I can't spend my life wondering if I'll come home to more lies or manipulation. This isn't the life I want." His words were direct and final. Her tears came faster and her voice turned more frantic. "Aaron, I never wanted to hurt you. I thought it was harmless, just something silly. I never imagined it would come to this." "But it did," Aaron interrupted, his voice resolute. "And the damage is done. I can't keep living with that kind of chaos. It's over." He exhaled heavily, casting her one last look before turning away. With that, their divorce was finalized. Though Aaron carried the sting of her betrayal, he threw himself into his work, building a life rooted in stability and predictability. Peggy, on the other hand, faced the daunting task of starting over. She had to re-enter the workforce after years of absence, trading her comfortable lifestyle for a relentless cycle of job applications, rejections, and long, draining days. A year passed. Aaron's new life, though quieter, offered him a sense of security and calm. The constant uncertainty that had once plagued his marriage was gone. One evening, while sorting through his emails, a subject line caught his attention. It was from Peggy. His first instinct was to delete it, but a flicker of curiosity stopped him. It had been a full year since he had cut off all contact, ignoring her calls and messages. Perhaps this email would offer some kind of closure. After a moment's hesitation, he clicked it open. As he read, his emotions shifted: anger, disbelief, and unexpectedly, a hint of respect. Peggy had laid bare her feelings, admitting to things she had once tried to minimize. She confessed to engaging in intimate video calls with another man, describing them as meaningless and playful at the time, a way to add excitement to her routine. "I convinced myself it was harmless, just a game," she wrote. "I didn't realize how deeply it would hurt you, how it would destroy us." Her revelations didn't end there. She admitted that after Aaron left, she sought solace in the same man, hoping to fill the void left by their broken marriage. However, the relationship quickly turned toxic, and she ended it. Since then, she had spent the year piecing her life back together. The email was saturated with regret, each line heavy with remorse. Peggy acknowledged that losing Aaron had been the most painful lesson of her life, one she could no longer avoid. She detailed her struggles, finding a job, living independently, and facing her mistakes without the comfort of their marriage. "I had to go through this to truly understand what I should have seen all along," she admitted. Toward the conclusion, Peggy reflected on Aaron's sacrifices and how much she had taken him for granted. "I don't expect us to go back to what we had," she wrote. "I just need you to know how sorry I am. I've grown, Aaron. While I'll always regret how things ended, I hope one day we can find a way to be friends. If not, I needed to at least tell you the truth and ask for your forgiveness." Aaron read the email again, struck by her honesty. Her willingness to take responsibility and confront her actions surprised him. For a fleeting moment, he felt a small measure of admiration for her perseverance. Still, the wounds she had inflicted ran too deep to repair. For days, Aaron wrestled with whether to respond. Part of him felt he should acknowledge her apology, offering her the closure she seemed to seek. Another part believed that silence would convey more than words ever could. After much thought, he sat at his computer to write a reply. His hands hovered over the keyboard, his thoughts focused. If she wanted the truth, he would give it to her, plain and unembellished. Peggy, he began, typing with steady resolve. I got your message, and I appreciate your honesty. But I think it's time you understood what went through my mind that night. The night I came home early. The moment I received the news of my promotion, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of joy. I couldn't wait to share it with you, to celebrate together as a married couple. In my mind, I envisioned telling you how this achievement could bring us closer to the life we had always dreamed of, a life of security, opportunity, and fulfillment. I even pictured how this success could help you pursue what might bring you happiness as well. But instead of the joyful celebration I imagined, I walked straight into a nightmare. What you called a game felt nothing short of a devastating betrayal, a wound that cut deeper than any mistake. It wasn't a simple lapse in judgment, Peggy. It was an act that burned itself into my memory. I can still see the image of you, laughing during that call, as if nothing else mattered, as if all the effort and sacrifices I had made meant nothing to you. He paused and read over the words he'd just written, allowing the pain of those moments to surface again. For months, he had avoided confronting the memory head-on, but there was a sense of necessity in finally putting it into words. When I walked out that night, I did so with absolute certainty that leaving was the right choice. That conviction has never wavered. Over the past year, I've come to understand how much better my life is without the constant uncertainty, the endless questioning, and the crushing humiliation of wondering what betrayal might happen next. I'm glad to hear that you've started to recognize where things went wrong and that you're working on moving forward. But as for me, my path doesn't include you anymore. We won't be friends, and we will never be partners again. I have no desire to hold on to the past or to carry the weight of what you've done. This is goodbye, Peggy. Please, let me go completely. Aaron typed his name at the bottom of the email and reviewed it one final time. There was no urgency, no simmering resentment, just a quiet confidence that he had expressed everything he needed to. With a single click, he sent the email and leaned back in his chair. The silence in the room was profound, but it felt lighter now. For the first time, he truly felt the weight lift, the realization settling in. He had finally let her go. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.